Hi guys, it's Margaret, and it is Tuesday, April 3rd, the 93rd day of the Mainichi Project. So if you saw the video last week, you know that I am not a DIY guru, and now I know that too. But you know what I don't know? Maybe I'm a fantastic chef. Ooh. Today I wanted to make cookies, and also I have to make a video, so I thought let's make a video of me making cookies. So for your benefit and mine, we are going to be using a recipe that I have used before. However, I do want to include the caveat that it used to be a Martha Stewart recipe, and I say used to because I literally haven't looked at it for the last 3 years. So this recipe could be very off. There are a few particular things that I remember about it that I will remind you all of as we go along, but they're pretty easy to make. Thumbprint cookies are like not a thing. I do want to apologize in advance to any bakers or chefs that might be watching. This is not that. My goal here is edible, which I think is very achievable. Okay guys, so today we're going to be making lemonade thumbprint cookies. If you have ever lived in the South, you've probably seen thumbprint cookies before. They're just like those really basic sugar cookies that you have like a filling in the middle of. They're super easy to make, easy to eat. Shouldn't be a problem. Your main ingredients for the thumbprint cookie is flour, butter, confectioner's sugar, and lemon juice. The only specific thing that I remember about the original Martha Stewart recipe is that it called for a singular raspberry. And I don't want to get into like the semantics of a recipe that requires a single berry, but we're not going to be doing that because guess what, you guys? I have a bag of extremely frozen mixed berries from when I thought I was going to do smoothies 2 years ago. So occasionally I'll break this out for thumbprint cookies and break off a block of berry and just throw that in the mix. So that's what we'll be using. I don't think that they're required for taste so much as color. Like I remember the recipe was pink lemonade. If you want to go out and buy an entire carton of raspberries just to use one berry, that is your prerogative, but I'll be using the berry block today. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing you have to do is plug in your oven. Oh, what? You don't have to plug in your oven because you own an actual oven and not a tiny microwave-sized oven? Good for you. Well, I'm going to plug this in, and you are going to turn it to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to turn it to 300 degrees Fahrenheit because this is a weird tiny oven that cooks things too fast. For any of you who don't use Fahrenheit, don't know the conversion rate. Yes, I have lived in a foreign country for the last 8 years and should know it. I've been too busy studying Japanese. So the recipe that I've mangled over the years from Martha Stewart that requires a single raspberry is going to require 2.5 cups of flour. So let's go ahead and put that into our measuring cup. What? You only have one measuring cup? Don't you know that you're supposed to have dry and wet measuring cups? I know that. I don't care. This came from the dollar store. So we're just going to fill this up to the 2.5 mark and we are going to put it in our bowl. This is a bowl. I hope you're all enjoying that I'm wearing an apron as well. That's not something that ever happens in this house, and I just did it for effect. So you're welcome. All right, that's about 2.5 cups. You're fine, bakers. I don't know how many grams that is. Going in the bowl, bye. Ooh, flour. This is probably gonna end up well, I think. No, I'm not gonna sift the flour. I never sift the flour. Yes, I do. When I sift the flour, usually I use the spaghetti strainer because, again, I don't have a sifter. It's the same thing. There's holes in this bowl, too. Right? But we're not using it today, so I'm just going to put it away. Okay, so once you have your 2.5 cups of flour in the bowl, you need to put in 1/4 cup of confectioner's sugar. This is my co-chef for the day. He's really into powdered sugar. Other favorites include avocados, Cheetos, macaroni. What are you doing? I'm trying to do a cooking show. Maybe we should get off of the counter so that there is no hair in the cookies. What do you think? You think that that's a good idea? Okay, so like I was saying, Japan doesn't like sell large amounts of confectioner's sugar, especially not where I am. So this is the only part of it that's kind of like a pain in the butt because I had to buy 2 tiny bags of sugar. That looks like about a half a cup to me. He's back. You guys, he loves sugar. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, and then you put that in the bowl as well. Next, you're gonna be adding butter. But how much butter, do you ask? And I say, I don't really remember how many grams or tablespoons, but I just use a whole block of this. Looks like about 2 sticks to me. How many grams? It's 150 grams of butter. You're welcome. I put in 150 grams of butter. First, we're gonna cut it up into smaller sizes so that it can whisk together better. Shin, you got to go, my dude. You're blocking my shot. Okay, so I'm just cutting up the butter into small squares and I'm adding it to the bowl. Make sure your butter is room temperature. This is something that I have heard repeatedly on cooking shows. I understand that if it's too hot or too cold, it makes mixing a problem and something to do with air. So, room temperature butter. Room temperature butter. I hope you guys all washed your hands. I did, but then I touched a cat. It doesn't matter though, because nobody's gonna eat this but me and Shin. We're used to cat hair in our food anyway. Cutting up the butter very small. Okay, so the next thing that you're gonna add is 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. I do have a tablespoon, you guys. Somewhere. Where is my tablespoon? I have a singular tablespoon. Where is it? I found it! It's clean. So that's 1 tablespoon and 2 tablespoons. Now we need to add a teaspoon of salt. I can't accurately measure this kind of salt into a teaspoon, so I'm just gonna guess, like I always do. That seems good. Now the cat butt's gone. We can put the bowl back where it needs to be. Let's go ahead and mix up our ingredients. I'm gonna put it on the counter. It's a lot of fun. Okay, and we're done with that. Okay, and it should look a little something like this. It kind of looks like a pie crust kind of dough almost. There's not a lot of liquid in these cookies, so that's great. Okay, and so just a little bit more with your hands so that the dough is completely incorporated, and we are going to be making tiny little balls for our cookies. Usually you can get about 24 cookies out of this dough recipe. Okay, so I did pretty good at rationing out the dough this time. Usually if I have a lot extra, I'll just eat it raw. I'm just being honest with you. I like to live dangerously. I don't mind salmonella. But, I mean, we have very little dough left, so good job us. I'm still gonna eat it. It's good. Dough's good. Okay. So these cookies need to be put in the freezer for about 10 minutes before you put them in the oven so that they'll hold their shape. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. My freezer is that way. Okay, it's been 10 minutes and I have my first tray of sort of frozen cookie dough balls. It looked like this. That's pretty good, huh? Okay, so what you're gonna do now is put these balls of cookie dough into your heavily preheated oven for 10 minutes, right? So thumbprint cookies usually have an indent in the middle where they have like a jelly or a chocolate sort of ganache in the middle. We are not going to be using our actual thumbs because our thumbs are not round, which is kind of the shape that I'm going for in these cookies. So we're going to be using a wine bottle cap because we have a lot of those. There is a reason I'm not doing a lot of different angles in this video, and part of that is the sink and the mess of empty wine bottles behind this counter that you can't see. You're welcome. Okay, so I'm gonna wait for the oven to count down for 10 minutes. I'm going to catch up with you guys then. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes. We're gonna pull the first batch of cookies out and we're gonna start making our wine cap thumbprints. They're not quite cooked yet, but almost. And then once that's done, you'll just pop them back into your oven for another 15 minutes, about 15 minutes, until they're, cooked through. So they look like cookies. Okay, well, we're waiting for the first batch to come out of the oven and cool. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you guys how to make the filling of the cookies. So you are gonna need another 1 1/4 cups of confectioner's sugar, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and then your singular or multiple berries. Let's see. Okay, so that's good enough. That's about 1 1/4 cups. 2 tablespoons lemon juice. Again, 1, 2, and then however much berry you want. I'm going to break off a hunk. You guys, these looks like organs. I'm gonna put in this much berry. This is more than 1 raspberry. It's a little bit crunchy. God. Sorry, Martha. Sorry, Marilyn. Who else do I know that bakes? Oof. Okay, and you are gonna mix that together. I guess normal people would use a bowl. I'm just gonna mix it together in the measuring cup itself. That's a good color, right? That looks yummy. That almost came out of the measuring cup, you guys. Oh my God. Okay, and then I'm just gonna put this down here because we won't be using it until we can ice the cookies.
No, we know who they do, I know. What makes this person think when he gets to heaven that Jesus is going to have him dance? That's an absurd interpretation, unless it's somewhere in the...
Okay, so now we just have to wait for these cookies to cool, and then we will put the icing we made into the little divots that we made with the wine caps. I think they're pretty cool. I think they're cool enough to ice. If there's one thing that the TV show Nailed It has taught me, it is that you should not ice anything while it is still hot. You guys, the icing's really good. I may have just had a spoonful of icing. So now we'll just put the icing into all of the little cookies and we'll wait for them to dry. Let's go ahead and put some paper towels under these cookies just in case some of the icing drips down because they're not perfectly level. All right, and that's it. This is the final results. Can you see? They look a little red in the camera, but they're like a very vibrant flamingo pink in real life. All right, so one more time. These are called Pink Lemonade Thumbprint Cookies. If you end up trying out the recipe, let me know in the comments down below, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.